Okay, back to where we were. X equals x plus 1. That means every time you go through the while loop, you're going to add 1 to x. Now, I think at the end of the last video, I had my x over here, but that would mean it's not in the while loop. It has to be indented to be in the while loop. So that means every time I go through the code, remember the while loop goes through over and over. Every time I go through the code, I'm going to add 1 to x. And eventually, it's going to be bigger than 5. And since this statement won't be true anymore, we'll be done with our while loop. Okay, so the break happens if we get the right answer. We'll be done with our while loop. And if we've had 5 turns, we'll be done with our while loop. I keep on saying term instead of turn. Okay, some of you guys have figured out the fast way to do this. So this is just saying like our old x value, we're going to add 1 to it, and then that's going to be our new x value. Some of you guys have figured out the faster way to do it. Just put plus equals. That's just short for that. So x plus equals 1 just adds 1 to x every time through. So the first time, remember in the beginning, x is 0. So the very first time through, x is going to be 0. Then you add 1 to it, x will be 1. Next time through, x will be 2. Next time through, x will be 3, and so on. So let's run this code and see how it works. So I'm going to guess all the wrong answers and just make sure it only gives me 5 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it said not quite at the end. Okay. So it looks like that worked. Now, maybe I want at the very end it to say your time is up. So let's switch this a little bit. So let's say x can still be equal to 5. And here, let's add an elif. Elif x equals 5. So if you're on your 5th round, we're going to say sorry, you are out of turns. Please play again. Okay, so let's test that out and make sure it works. Make sure it only gives us 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it gave us 6, right? So we want to switch this maybe back to being this, because that gave us 6 rounds, and then we're going to say if x is equal to 4. Okay, so let's make sure that gives us our 5 rounds. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, perfect. It gave us 5 rounds, and that was all we got. And if we guess the right answer, which in this case is 12, let's say that's correct. And again, you had to pick this number, but in the future I'll show you a way to get a random number generator in here. Okay, so that's it for while loops. Just remember you have to find a way to break out of them so they eventually end. One way to break out of them is this condition right here. If x is ever bigger than 5, because you're adding 1 to it every time, then after x becomes bigger than 5, it'll just get out of the while loop. Okay, so the big idea of while loops is you don't have to know how many times this is true for. Like, for example, or you don't have to know how many times you want the iteration to run. Earlier, we could have x equals true, and then it's just going to keep on going forever and ever. We don't have to worry about how many turns there are. And I'd have to change the rest of my code. But this is where while statements are great for something like this. Because it's just going to keep on going, and we don't have to know for how long it will go. Okay. Oops, we gotta change that. All right, so here's our game. We can guess forever. I adapted the code until we guess the right answer. All right, so hopefully that helps you with while statements. I'm gonna make a video for if statements, and I think I'm going to skip functions and do them tomorrow just because this is taking a lot of time on here. Okay, you guys are awesome. Keep up the good work.